because you're good at it.
This is therapy news. We go deep.
Go
We
deep.
don't flinch. Ain't the way
Look
on
here.
your shame. Let it
I'm
go. Inch by inch. This is therapy news. Hard truths.
Hard truth.
In the room. If you're carrying shame, we're making space. Making room.
Welcome to Therapy Dudes. This is Dan Fox with Andre Karkamaz. Very excited for part 2 of the Enneagrams in our new 2.0 launch. Therapy Dudes Tension Points. We are getting like serious and talking about things from a political, cultural, psychological, and philosophical level. Actually, not political, just
Not political.
philosophical.
We try to stay, yeah.
Yeah,
We
we
try
stay
to
with
not,
the politics.
yeah.
All right, I'll get the tagline right eventually.
Eventually.
Shout out to Boulder Psychological Services for hanging with us and sponsoring us throughout the journey. Check out Boulder Psychological Services for all your therapy needs. We are in part 2 of describing the personality types in the Enneagram, and I am going to be on board and not impish for the next 6 as we get through them, because I know we're up against the clock because I was being so ridiculous the last time. So I apologize for having to get some of that energy out of my system.
It's what happens when you get injured, right? Like you're very anxious to have fun. It's been a while for
Right.
you.
I know. I'm consciously trying to, get away from my injury mentality and into a playful place.
I like it. It's not bad. You have
So
nothing to
we have
apologize for.
covered the reformer, right? The helper. Those are our two, primary ones that we both express, and also the achiever. And now we're on to type 4, the individualist.
Yeah. Do you want to jump into that one or do you want me to?
We'll take turns. So do you
Okay.
want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So the core fear for the individualist is they do not like to feel insignificant or without identity. These are people who will like go out of their way to create um, ways of being noticed, and they think about how they can make an impact on other people. They want to feel worthy. They want to feel unique. The core strategy they use is they create uniqueness and emotional depth. Um, in relationships, they seek depth, deep connection, can feel misunderstood. They get kind of emotionally intense sometimes, and their worldview is I need to be authentic to be real. So they're always looking to figure out who they really are, and they're always looking to figure out if who they really are is having an impact to the outside world because they don't want to feel insignificant. Healthy growth around the type 4 is grounded in reality, not just emotion. They can be overtaken by emotion pretty quickly. They take action even without feeling. So often they won't take action unless they feel they have a lot of feeling that's motivating them, but that can make it so they're more driven by emotional thinking instead of logical thinking, and things that are necessary can fall on the wayside. Um, and just appreciating what is about themselves and the world. That's what healthy growth would look like for a type 4. And at their best, they're emotionally rich and stable, and balanced. They can think things through. They can tell when they're acting out of that place of that core fear of being insignificant. Do you have questions about that one, Dan?
Right. I'm trying to like wrap my mind around how like the stability piece gets threatened with this emotional intensity. And I could see that how like, people might get so into their emotions and wanting to make sure people understand them and, honor their emotions, and to want to be connected and then want to feel that emotional intensity in a certain level that feels like it could create like codependence where you just
Yeah,
need the other person to be responding a certain way. And then when it gets really out of hand, you've got like the BPD, borderline personality disorder
exactly.
energy emerging. So I feel like that as I'm talking my way through this, the stability peace, right? Being able to just let go of whatever those needs are of like, I must be understood. Like I have to connect. This person has to feel that richness and connect too. Like that kind of stuff just needs to be recognized and let go, right? Like we
Exactly.
don't actually need that. And
Exactly.
okay.
So all of these have a healthy version to them, and all of them have a very unhealthy version to them, right? And you were just going down the rabbit hole of how it would look unhealthy, and I agree with those assessments. Like a lot of personality disorders come from unhinged personality types. That's how I would describe it.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so type 5, the investigator, I want you to talk about this one, Dan.
Okay. So from like the investigator's like fear lens, there's this sense of, the opposite of not being able to like critically think or, understand something, right? So just a feeling of like incompetence. And that a lot of times the way to just be okay as the investigator is to like withdraw and conserve energy. So this is kind of like it feels energetically like the opposite of what we just talked about with the individualist who needs to like be intensely emotional to connect, right? And the investigator, by like needing to seek understanding, is just kind of more like aloof or withdrawn. And that might be how they're perceived, right? But
Right,
it's mostly that they need more space. They need to really like understand before they step into the situation, right? That's kind of that worldview like motto of like don't engage until you're clear about what's going on. You have an understanding of how to relate to it or work with it.
yeah. Because they
And
don't want to feel incompetent or depleted or overwhelmed. It makes sense.
right. And
Yeah.
I think from like an attachment perspective, that could seem like somebody's being
Avoidant.
avoidant, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is too big for me. I'm out. But that's not at the core, right? At least an investigator who's in a healthy place, they're they're just trying to really understand before they like get too into it so that they don't make a misstep or feel, overwhelmed or incompetent. That's like the core fear energy. So
Right.
trying to stay in relationship, to stay engaged, to like keep sharing openly, even if there isn't like a cleaned up, nice, insightful understanding of the situation, is some of the work for that. And to be able to like really like tune in and connect with your body and your emotions and to be able to like notice them, even if there's some stuff that just kind of feels nuanced or not like, tightly knit into one complete like summary understanding, is helpful. So, sharing stuff, even if it's like a fleeting emotion, is useful because that need to be insightful and to have understanding, right? Like that can be good. At their best, they have that, but also the connection, right? They don't, withdrawing is gonna like start to like stifle or suffocate relationships and emotional energy. And they can end up aloof or withdrawn or just, isolating. And I can see this with like adolescents going to like computer games if they're boys, right? As a like way to be like, okay, like here I can understand and I know what to do and it makes a lot of sense and it's very logical and I don't have to like be in these places that are more uncomfortable and harder to really pin down, and that can, really pull them back from social connection.
Absolutely. Okay. So at their best, they're insightful and connected.
Nice. Okay.
Okay.
All right, you're up
Okay.
next. The
All
loyalist.
right. Type 6, the loyalist. Their core fear is being unsafe or unsupported. And their strategy for dealing with that core fear is they scan for danger and seek security. So in relationships, they're loyal but anxious. They seek reassurance. They can doubt stability. What does that sound like in terms of attachment?
Oh, anxious attachment, right?
Yeah, insecure, anxious attachment, correct. And so their worldview is I need to be prepared for what could go wrong. and
So I'm going to overthink everything.
overthink everything. God, when they're unhealthy, right? Or when
Yes.
something, I mean, I've definitely been there in my life. I know that's the attachment style I formed after a while. And then I had to do a lot of work to get out of that. And then I became more avoidant. So unfortunately, but now I'm more grounded. I need to be prepared for what could go wrong is their worldview. So like going off of that, a healthy growth projection for the type six is they build internal trust. Like they trust their gut. They trust that they'll be okay no matter what happens. They can act despite uncertainty. And they can reduce overchecking and overthinking. So at their best, they're reliable and confident.
Nice. And I like
Yeah,
that, like just the term loyalist, like having loyal friendships, right? People that you know are going to like stick with you and not be highly judgmental and stuff like that can be great, right? That reliability is awesome. It's the that part that comes along with it when it's in an unhealthy place, that insecurity that can kind of be taxing on relationships where you sort of need the other person to constantly be reassuring.
yeah.
Okay.
All
Um,
right.
all right.
Seven, the enthusiast.
Whew. All right. I'm feeling enthusiastic, but I don't even know if that's uh, really a true expression of the enthusiast because here we're more worried about being trapped or stuck in something that is like limiting or painful and kind of keeping that more joyous energy from being expressed. So the the core strategy is to like avoid discomfort, right? You want to be constantly in this like positive place and look for ways to work around anything that's uncomfortable, which in relationship can be good because you're fun and you're engaging, but also can be kind of superficial because if there's any kind of like, negative stuff going on, you sort of avoid it. You don't want to deal with like
Right.
heavy, deep emotional things. It's like, well, let's just, go out and have a good time together and not like,
They don't want to feel
struggle with
the
something.
pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, that's the worldview, right? They want to avoid the pain and
Yeah.
to grow into a more healthy kind of well-rounded place with it, they need to stay present and not withdraw from things that are uncomfortable, right? To just sort of recognize, oh, this is uncomfortable, but I'm still okay, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
like the joy will be forever gone, right? So
Right.
having that willingness to like persist through when something gets difficult and to like get it to a completion or a finished state and to be willing to like go deeper emotionally even if it's not always like the fun place. So it's like joy is key when they're at their best, but also staying present and grounded
Yeah.
is necessary to be able to like really have a healthy thing where you don't get kind of caught in that superficial place where you're
You're
avoiding
avoiding all the
discomfort,
tough conversations and yeah.
right? And just sweeping stuff under the rug that's going to eventually fester.
Yeah. We got two more.
Okay,
We
we're going to do this. We got plenty of
type eight
time.
is the challenger. The core fear of the challenger is they fear being controlled, harmed, or vulnerable. So their core strategy, they stay strong and in control. They seem like nothing can bother them. They in relationships, they're direct and intense. They can be protective, but they struggle severely with vulnerability because they don't want people to see the cracks in the armor. They see that as weakness. Um, their worldview is I have to be strong to stay safe. So these are people who think that if they show vulnerability or they show any kind of like hardship in their life, that they're losing life. They're not staying strong enough to be safe in this world. Um, Healthy growth projection for a type 8 would be that they allow vulnerability into their lives. They trust others and they soften intensity. Like they kind of become less spiky, if you want to use a term. And they become more like open to softness and closeness and hugging and stuff like that, right? Like these are people
Mm.
who struggle with closeness as well a lot of times when they're not healthy. When they're healthy, they're powerful and compassionate and can receive and give and show vulnerability. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I see like one of the tricks for the challenger is that because you just have that need to be in control and feel strong, there's all these perceptions of, oh, this person is like, saying something that's critical or challenging me or like disagreeing. Like they might invent all these little conflicts or like people sort of like challenging them for like control when it's really just like innocent conversation and just people like expressing how they think and feel. And then they take it as like, something that is like provocative or attacking. And it's just, somebody showing up with how they feel emotionally.
Right. Yeah.
So somehow like resting in that like awareness that, okay, I am a powerful person and I don't need to feel threatened or vulnerable if, other people are showing up in a different way or not like acknowledging what I feel like is, my strengths or something.
Right. Nice.
All right.
Type 9.
We're going for it. I just want to mention really fast before we wrap that Test Library has free Enneagram tests, right? I did mine online for free and got my information, which I appreciate having, even though I was making fun of it in the last podcast. Like it's a good thing to just kind of have in your back pocket and to help focus on like the areas that we want to grow. Cause we're never a finished, fully formed product, right? We want to just keep looking for ways that we can show up in the world in a more kind of holistic,
Aware.
authentic, positive way. Yeah, aware.
Yeah.
All
Awesome.
right. So type 9, peacemaker. Okay. The peacemaker needs both connection and conflict. And so that's the fear is losing either of those. And that avoiding conflict to maintain that peace, right? This is like at the worst, they're just conflict avoidant people pleasers, right? So that strategy of avoiding the conflict in some situations, right? Like being the peacemaker, I think can be a great thing a lot of the time, right? You're like easygoing, you can like avoid relationships from getting to tense places, but you can also kind of lose yourself and your core values in relationship if you're not careful.
And you can create resentment because if you're dismissive and avoidant, people will feel the tension.
Right, right. Yeah, they'll sometimes just be like, "Wait, what? Like this is." They don't even know why it's awkward, but it's awkward, and the person is just, kind of not expressing what's going on, but it comes out in nonverbal ways.
True.
Um, so yeah, that worldview of like everything will be okay as long as I can maintain this like calmness and just kind of smooth everything open. So part of that like healthy growth is being willing to have conflict, right? Being willing to like disagree and learn how to like do conflict and disagreements in a way that like doesn't threaten connection, right? And that it's okay to lean into that and to like assert your own needs and to take action even if you're not sure if everyone around you will be okay with it. So at their best, they're going to have that peaceful, positive part of just like staying in connection and keeping things in a positive place, but also this like self-awareness and presence and being able to like understand that when there are those conflicts or potential tension points, that avoiding them and just pretending they don't exist is not healthy, right? Like it's
No.
okay to like lean into them and trust that you can like work through that process by being conscious and still having that intention of like I want this to have a peaceful resolution and not to go into fear if there's a conflict.
Awesome. Okay, good. I'm glad we got through all of these personality types. I just want to say a few things before we wrap up.
Yeah.
Um, The big takeaways, every type is trying to stay safe, stay connected, and stay valued. So just remember that that's what they're trying to do. Every type is trying to do that, and they're using it to avoid a core fear, and they've developed core strategies to avoid those core fears. Sometimes those strategies that they develop are maladaptive because we're in an unhealthy way in those types. We'll explore those more in the next episode. But when they're healthy, all nine types have a healthy version which can shine. So there isn't one type that's better than the other. I just want to say that. Um,
Nice. I want to
all,
just shout out Andre for your interest in this and bring this into the conversation because I I know at first I was just being like, you know, just running defense and making fun of it, but I I'm on board now. I want to go farther in this. I'm looking forward to the conversations about relationships and attachment and how awareness of our style can help
play into
because
it.
I think this has more nuance to it than attachment styles, right? There's just sort of three primary attachment styles, and here there's a lot more nuance in how we show up in relationship.
Absolutely. It's super cool. And I appreciate that. I knew you would like it. You just like to play. I do too. The last thing I'll say, we don't want to over-identify with any of this. The goal here is to when you believe this is just who I am, instead of seeing that something like a personality type as a pattern, you can't change it. You don't want to stay fixated on thinking that any of these types can't change. There is a healthy and an unhealthy way that these types show up. So just
Right.
remembering that, because we spoke about a lot of people tend to hear the unhealthy in each of these types when we bring them up the first time, and then they identify with it, and then they over-identify, and then they feel stuck. That
Yeah.
is not what we're doing. There
Right.
is a healthy version.
And I think that where it turns unhealthy becomes where we get to a place that is fearful and then we just get reactive from the fear, right? They say with like that fight or flight energy that instead of having our nervous system just ratchet up and get us into these fight or flight responses, we want to be able to feel and deal, right? Feel the emotion and then really work with it, which I think is the healing work for all of these types whenever they're in a fearful place.
Exactly. And we got to wrap up. So I'll say one last thing. I'll give a tool to the audience, and you and I can also use this and see. I mean, we already know our type, but what you can do is this tool, it requires three steps. First, you identify your pattern. What am I trying to avoid feeling? Just ask yourself that. Write that down. Then you can notice relationship patterns. Where do you overdo things? Where do you withdraw? Where do you control? Write those down. And then three, you can move towards growth by doing the opposite of your default. So if you notice you're trying to control too many things in your life because you're afraid of everything falling apart, see what you can release. If you give too much in relationships, see what you can like sit back and let yourself start receiving in your relationships. And if you withdraw too much, see in which capacity you can engage a little more. And
Nice.
we'll just end there for today.
Thanks for listening. Hope this was helpful. Like, subscribe, leave a comment.
Pull up chairs, this is session one. Every crack in the armor, see it in the sun. We're so serious, no joke, no spin. Tracing every tension point to what's deep within. Culture sets the tone, psychology in view. Philosophy on board, therapy for you. We press where it hurts, deliberate expertise. Ask why you flinch, help you find inner peace. These are the tension points. There are beetles breaking through. All the masks we wear till we find what's true. Psych for
Oh, where is it? No, I can't. Come
I
on,
thought we
wait,
had this one. I
wait,
really did.
wait. I know. I
We
where's
need
the
to do
wait?
pictures and we
Oh,
need to put it on the screen.
okay. Here it is. I found the button.